My name is Fernando Cardoso, one of the solutions architect for Trend Micro. Today, what I would like to bring to you guys, it is a little bit about like the cybersecurity landscape, right? And what is the issues that we are seeing, and also from the market perspective, right? I brought like this information from Accenture Security, where they show some specific numbers about the breach around the financial services, right? In 2017 was 130, right? And this number has been increasing from like 2017, 2018, and we don't have the latest from Accenture Security for 2020, but this number shows up like how it's been increasing the number of breaches in overall financial services, insurance systems, and also like trading companies and all those kind of like services, right? If you can go the next one, please, Ron. At the same time, they show like in the report a good information about where was the basically main problems where the companies are investing a lot of money to fix those problems, right? You can see there is a decrease in the denial of services, but there is a big increase in the malicious code, right? If you think about like how you are building and like how you are creating the new innovation apps, right? It is all associated with like the code, right? For example, if you are using serverless, you own the code. If you are using containers, you own that code too, right? Or if you are using the legacy applications, you still have the code plus the operation systems and a couple different areas that you need to manage, right? It is a very important aspect that every single financial services and companies across the globe should be taking care before sending those new codes or new applications to production, right? Validating those problems, it is a key aspect in this new world. The malicious insider, it's another one, and the ransomware decreased a little bit last year, but we are seeing a new increase this year associated with like new families and new vectors associated with the remote work, right, with the COVID and all this kind of things. If you can, coach, yeah, thank you. One of the important aspects here, and the new applications that the financial services are creating in like the fintechs, right? They are all born in the cloud usually, right? They are using AWS applications, they are using Azure, GCP, and any other cloud provider to use the cloud and native applications, right? And there are some important aspects when we talk about cloud native applications. Ron, if you can move to the next one, please. There is what we call three major cloud builders, right? The first major cloud builder, it's what we call cloud migration, right? It is basically you are migrating the infrastructure that you have today in the data center to the cloud provider, and you need to make sure those cloud workloads, right, they are compliant, they are following the right regulations that you had in the data center, right? The second one is what we call cloud native applications, and this is associated with like containers, serverless, cloud storage, and some other technologies from the cloud provider. The third one, if you can move one more, yeah, it is the governance and the cloud operational excellence, right? And this is a very important aspect about like how you can make sure everything that you are creating are following the best practice from the cloud providers, right? Or everything that you are building based in the new like app for mobile trading or for insurance, they're following the right regulations from the PCI DSS or ISO 27001 or any those kind of like examples, right? Most of the conversations that they have with the financial services right now, it is like how they can make sure everything that they are migrating to the cloud or the new applications that they are building in the cloud, they are following the right regulations and the right best practice with the DevOps teams, with the cloud architects and all these kind of things, right? If you can move another one, please, Ron. And when companies are starting creating those environments, right? They usually starting choosing one or more cloud providers, right? And after that, they starting using new type of like applications to breaking down or starting using microservices from the monolithic applications, right? And they can start using Lambda functions, Azure functions, containers, Fargate, EKS, or Kubernetes, right, to breaking down those applications. And also, in some cases, you have a broad number of like platforms and supports, like how you can make sure you are delivering the right compliances and the right best practice for every single environment. It is a very important aspect, and it is an important way for you to bring the visibility, not just for the security team, but for your cloud team, right? When you are creating a new, like this new environment, it is important for you to bring specifically awareness for like the DevOps teams about like how the performance of their applications that they are running in the AWS, right? Or how you are creating this DevOps pipelines with the better security, right? How you can manage like all this new environments. Ron, if you can move forward, please. And when we talk about like cloud, right, there is this association with the misconfigurations, right? Through 2023, at least 99% of the cloud security failures will be the customer fault. And it's important to remember in this specific aspect about the shared responsibility module, right? Where the cloud provider has your specific responsibilities about the infrastructure that they are running, and the customer in the other side has your own responsibilities about the applications that they are running, the encryptions, the permissions, the access to the storage systems, right? And all these little things that some customers forget it. Through 2024, as Gartner mentioned, CSPM technology or cloud security posture management technologies will be helping a lot of companies to reduce this number of like problems in basically 80%, right? Will be a very common technology for every single financial services until 2024 to have this kind of solutions to bring visibility and awareness associated with the compliance and best practice in the cloud providers and their applications, right? Ron? Yeah, thank you. And when we talk about cloud operations, right, this is like the top 5 challenge that I got from customers, right, talking with them. The rapid growth of like new cloud service that they are using. Usually they start using like, for example, Fargate, and after a couple of weeks or months, they are using over like 15 or 20 services from AWS, right? And it is hard to keep up with the knowledge from every single environment and how they can basically use the best practice for every single services and environments that they are running. Many teams are using the cloud services, right? But sometimes they have a difference between the knowledge between the teams, the lack of visibility. Sometimes you have a huge environment or multiple production environments in AWS, and you don't have this unified visibility, not just in AWS, but could be like Azure together, GCP, and a couple other cloud providers, right? And providing like the compliance that you have in the data center in the cloud. And if you move one more, Ron, here I brought like a couple points, right? When you are creating the DevOps pipelines with like infrastructure as a code, you usually have like what we call misconfigurations, right? That can happen. We are human. We can fail in some specific aspects. And imagine if you can bring these misconfigurations visibilities in the early stage of your pipeline instead that you find those problems in the runtime, right? The other problems could be like cross-account access to repositories, open storage to the internet that can create like a data breach for your companies. It's very important for you to have this visibility when you see like a file storage with the confidential information that is being public by like a mistake, right, or misconfigurations, how you can easily and automate that process to fixing. And this is how we are helping companies in financial services in the United States and globally. If you can move forward, Ron, please. And we have this well-architected framework that you can generate from our platform. It's like a 10 to 5 minutes. After you integrate your AWS account with conformity, our technology for misconfigs and compliances, right? We can scan your account and bring this full visibility of like the AWS web architect that we breaking down in 5 pillars: security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost optimization, and operational excellence. Those informations are very, very helpful, not just for the security and the risk management team, but for the DevOps teams, right? For example, reliability and performance. It is a very important aspect for the DevOps engineers, for them to make sure those applications are running smoothly in the way how it's supposed to be running in AWS or some other cloud providers, right? But this is an interesting, it's just one example where we're bringing like a full visibility of your AWS environment, but you can do that with a couple other cloud providers. And if you can move forward one more, Ron. Here we also bring the visibility for multiple compliances and standards, right? Like a GDPR, PCI DSS, NIST, ISO 27001, and CIS. Like all those would be very important for a lot of financial services organizations. We have like an open banking for Australia companies too, and some other compliance associated with the financial services. If you can move one more, Ron, please. Yeah. Like I mentioned before, right? Imagine instead for you to recognize those issues in the late stage or in the production environment, why you don't integrate this same kind of like running automations for the cloud infrastructure in the early stage. We have what we call a security plugin for the IDE in the VS Code, where you can scan every single cloud formations before you deploy that in the AWS environments. We can also integrate that in your CI/CD pipeline. Depends how you are using that. You can use with the GitHub Actions or GitLab or the Circle CI or any other technology for the automation process, that we can add our template scanner to scan every single cloud formation template, right? One of the things that we are looking for the next year, it is integration with the Terraform to help more customers. They usually use CloudFormation or Terraform when they have the multi-cloud approach, right? But we are looking for the support in the Q1, Q2 next year for Terraform. If you can move one more, Ron, please. Here, it's like when we talk about cloud native applications, right? The first one is like you are building the infrastructure, and here you are basically building the applications. And usually you have the pipeline sometimes segregate or sometimes together. When you have the segregate, you can also add like multiple layers of security. Imagine you have the developers pushing the code to the code repository, building those automations, and after deploy those applications in different like workloads, containers, or serverless. There are some possible misconfigurations on those environments too, right? Ron, if you can move one more. Here it's like some of the challenge that we see with those customers, right? Security sometimes is slowing down the DevOps because they add like technologies that they are not fully integrated in the pipeline. There is no automation in the CI/CD pipeline. This is a very important and key aspect when you want to help the DevOps engineers and the cloud architects in this new role, right? Too many tools, right, are being used. That's why I will be talking about that, like how we unify for customers the security for the cloud environments and have used of Linux, right? So many companies right now, they are using not just one flavor of Linux, but like sometimes 3 or 4, like a Red Hat, CentOS, Ubuntu, Debian, Oracle Linux, Amazon Linux, and this is a little challenge for some customers. I also put like some additional challenge in this slide, if you can move one more, where we show where is the vulnerabilities with the container image, vulnerabilities in the open source code and the code that you are writing. It's very important for you to use some kind of like SAST or DAST technologies to scan every single code before move to production. It's important in some aspects to scan the open source technologies that you are using. We have a partnership with Snyk, where we can bring the same visibility for the container image in one report with the open source problems with our partnership with Snyk. There are some protections that we can look for every single file that your customers are uploading to S3 buckets, and we can scan those files, make sure they don't have like any ransomware or any malwares embedded in those files. And after that, we can save those files in a safe bucket, or if we detect as malicious, we can put like as an unsafe bucket for you to quarantine or make some additional analysis. Okay. It's important to also make sure the third-party application vulnerabilities that you are using and some possible SQL injection or cross-site scripting that could happen in your web applications. Okay. If you move one more here, like I try to put in a simple way how the security layers could be added in your pipeline, right? Usually in the early stage, we use what we call unit test and SAST and DAST technologies to scan those codes and help the developers with like some insight about what is the security issues or security problems in their applications. We do, some companies also do like what we call license scanning and dependency scanning to help to detect more broad issues in those applications. The other stage will be the container image. If you are using microservices or any type of like containers, right? The container image scanning is a very interesting technology to scan every single container image to look for malwares, vulnerabilities, secrets and keys, and some kind of like compliances. This is where we help like a lot of financials in New York, making sure every single applications that they are building this new EKS or Kubernetes clusters, they are following the best practice from PCI or from their security teams, right? And in the end, we have what we call runtime protection or RASP technology, right? Where we can look for more advanced attacks and in real-time attacks, right? Imagine, for example, if somebody tried to do SQL injection in your web application, we could protect with like a RASP or some malicious path transversals, or someone tried to upload a malicious file or PDF to your web application to do like some lateral movements or to attack couple other people from your company, we could detect that with the runtime protection or RASP, depending how your application is working. If you scan this QR code, there's like a full article talking about that I wrote. Let me know if that can be helpful for you. If you can move forward, Ron, please. And here it's like how basically Trend Micro built the cloud platform, right, to be a unified and centralized security platform for cloud builders, where we have workload security, container security, application security, and some other features to help you bring in the visibility, the compliance for cloud governance and assurance, the protection for your physical, virtual, and cloud environments, right? But also the protection for your cloud native applications using containers, serverless, or cloud storage systems, for example. If you can move forward, I just created like a little diagram where we show where we can fit in those environments in AWS, right? We have a specifically feature for every single services to do like more deep and dive security protection for EC2, serverless, and Lambda functions, for example, S3 buckets, containers using registries or some kind of like EKS and Fargate, right? We have like a native integration with the transit gateway and VPC peering to scan every single traffic between the internet to the VPCs. This is a mandatory aspect for PCI DSS, right, in some specific aspect. And also the Cloud One conformity, where we can help with the visibility of the PCI DSS, ISO 27001, and how you are following the best practice from like the cloud providers. Yeah, if you move forward one more, you will be able to see like a couple other aspects in the pipeline, how we can do the integrations. But here it's like the full visibility, how we could help you, not just building for AWS, but imagine we can do the same thing for Azure, GCP, and any other cloud provider. Okay.